Hello everyone, thank you for joining us at this news hour on Equinoxe Television. We're live from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Pablo Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Honorable Jume Abang Peter, Member of Parliament for Ekondo Titi and Dikome Balwe in the southwest region of the country, says the crisis has taken the Indian division 30 years backward in terms of development and the destruction recorded in that part of the southwest region of the country. This is the situation prevailing in several parts of Anglophone Cameroon since the outbreak of the crisis late 2016, and close to 6 years now. The destruction, killing and other atrocities have been going on in those two regions, and calls continue rising to the sky for those in the bushes to drop the guns for peace to be given a chance. Now in this newscast, we'll also talk about 40 countries meeting in Germany in related Ukraine crisis talks, and they're discussing a way out of the crisis that is affecting the rest of the world, including African nations. Inhabitants of Melon in the Mongo Division littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, particularly farmers on the streets, protesting against what they consider as a violation of their rights. Their lands were taken for an electrification project, and to date they have not been paid indemnity, and they are suffering because of the consequences of that project. Details with Mark Lefebvre.
With placards in hand, farmers in Melong, Mongo Division of the Littoral region stood up to express their dissatisfaction after seeing their crops destroyed and farms seized 4 years ago by the government of Cameroon. I left school so I could focus on agriculture. I invested all of my money on this ginger farm. They uprooted my ginger. We lost everything and nothing has been given to us as compensation. The site is currently used for the construction of a power line in order to improve energy supply in the west and northwest region of Cameroon. However, the victims say they have not received a dime following the forceful eviction. After destroying our crops, they promised us that they will indemnify us before work commences, but nothing has changed. They are already at 90% completion rate. They equally decry government's nonchalant behavior towards their suffering, while condemning the state for not respecting the law relating to land expropriation.
Even though when we came there, we came to those offices to know how our document, our procedure is moving. No person is there to tell us exactly that this is your name. Even though they told us into our face that they are going to pass and we cannot fight the law. The judge had given a decision telling those people to never step foot here again. To those same people, they tell me that I cannot do anything with that law. It's just a paper. That let me go and do the application of that law and they see.
Speaking on phone, the delegate of Water and Energy in the West region says the case is being followed and that the victims will be indemnified soonest.
In late 2016, close to 6 years ago, English-speaking Cameroonians were on the street like this in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon over similar issues. But added to that, and above all of that, issues of marginalization and discrimination, and this has continued for close to 6 years today, taking development tens of years back in several parts of the two English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon, with a huge and enormous material damage, destruction, recorded killings and of course maiming and displacement of hundreds of thousands of persons, and one of the localities that have suffered seriously the consequences of the 6-year-long armed conflict going on there. One of the areas is the Indian division, and the member of parliament for Ekondo Titi and Dikume Balwe says that the crisis has taken the Indian division as a whole more than 30 years back in terms of development and the destruction recorded so far. And we spoke to Honorable Njume Peter Abang. Take a listen to what he says.
Quite some time now, Indian division has been the center of a lot of atrocities, killings, and you can name the rest, kidnapping and so on, due to the prevailing socio-political crisis. It would appear, if one were to make an assessment of the people who have suffered most, it would be very certain that the conclusion will be the people of Ekondo Titi on Indian division as a whole. And so we thought it was therefore time for us to come up and talk peace, because the crisis has actually stagnated development in Indian division more than one could have imagined. You know, first of all, the Kumba Ekondo Titi road, which was given to Sorobat, was suspended, and you can imagine what that road could have meant to the people over there. There is no electricity in Ekondo Titi. The schools in the hinterlands are no longer functioning. Palm oil has been put to a halt. The movement of business people from Ekondo Titi to Nigeria is no longer as it was before, because people used to leave Kumba, Douala, and pass through Ekondo Titi to Nigeria. So on the whole, you see, the crisis has taken us more than 30 years backward. And so we thought that it was very necessary for us to start talking about peace in order to give development a chance. People have suffered enough. We thought we could go down, all of us, Indian sons and daughters, to assemble at the divisional headquarters under the auspices of the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute, to talk about peace. He very much needs this peace, I think, more than anyone else, because for now, he has the possibility to drive development into Indian division. But he can't do it because of the crisis. He can't do it. So it's a very painful situation for him. And so he thought that, no, it was important for us to gather together and forge the way forward.
And after that peace conference in Indian Southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, what next? And our Southwest correspondent Derek Jato put this question to Honorable Ngale Daniel Etongo, Member of Parliament from Bamso in the Bakassi Peninsula. And this is what he told Derek.
This ever Indian conference has ended, and how to implement the resolutions arrived at has just begun.
First of all, the resolutions arrived at during the Indian conference have been disseminated to all sons and daughters of Indian division. The first thing I have to do is to go to the village, to my subdivision.
Honorable Ngale Daniel Etongo, the Member of Parliament for Bamuso subdivision in the Bakassi Peninsula, who was one of the delegates at the conference, says it has to do with both individual and collective effort for the peace message to get into every ear.
This is the commitment that we have taken, and each group of people will go to their area and see that they work for this peace to return Indian division. And
his approach to education will be intensified.
A majority of our youths come from very poor families, and so I took it as a commitment to see that each year we give them some scholarship to help them pay their school fees.
Coming back to the motion of support addressed to President Paul Biya, Honorable Ngale Daniel Etongo came with justifications why it was but normal for Indian man to thank the head of state.
This is the first time that all sons and daughters of Ndian are meeting in the headquarters, Mundemba. We have not had such an opportunity in this magnitude to say thank you to the head of state since the appointment of our brother, our father, as Prime Minister, head of government. Remember that that post is an enviable post.
Galvanizing forces both off and online. The CBDM Member of Parliament has equally promised to personally take the campaign to the various villages in his constituency and discuss with his electorate in the language of their own.
Okay, so my about to say.
And for peace to be a reality, for the peace message to get into every ear, there is something that has to be done. Guns must go down, says Honorable Njume Peter Abang. Take a listen.
Division, to talk to our brothers and sisters who have remained with arms in the bushes to come out and join us to develop Indian Division. We also took this as an opportunity to talk to those of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who, for one reason or the other, have been supporting or encouraging these acts of violence in the division. For these our brothers, we have told them that, look, after everything, yes, you were angry, but you cannot be angry forever. It is time for you to realize that your anger is instead hurting you, because when your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, and your fathers back at home can no longer live a happy life, when your younger ones can no longer go to school, when people cannot move freely, when people cannot go to their farms and harvest and sell, when poverty has reached a certain level among your people, it is time you give peace a chance. We are trying to achieve peace through concerted efforts. Everyone has a role to play, no matter where he or she is. Even those in the diaspora, they have their role to play. And so it is a matter of us bringing all these ideas together. We converge the ideas and then we see what we have to do.
Coming up next, we take a look at the problem of scarcity or shortage of fuel across the Republic of Cameroon, and this disruption is having an adverse impact on economic activities, as we see in this report.
Days of search, this heavy-duty truck driver has been unable to get fuel. Working as a driver for many years, the situation seems embarrassing.
En passant par toutes les stations, dans les stations même les Total.
I am really surprised about this issue of fuel shortage. I've gone to about 9 different neighborhoods and fueling stations to get fuel, but all my efforts were fruitless.
C'était 9 stations environ avant de trouver à la 10e.
In the Bepanda neighborhood in the city of Douala, transporters decry the shortage of fuel, which is affecting their business and consequently their livelihood. It has really affected our day-to-day activity. We have parked our vehicles for over 4 days now, and this will further worsen the situation as we find it difficult to feed. Let the government see into this situation. Business is slow due to the fact that some of these trucks are blocked in some regions of the country. We have colleagues blocked in the north for 2 weeks now. They are unable to leave due to the shortage of this fuel. Some of us are forced to be moving around with containers. We don't know what is happening. According to some filling stations, the ordered late and supply delayed. Others say the lack of fuel is due to low supply, which is essentially from Europe. The ongoing war in Ukraine has pushed Russia to reduce exportation. Meanwhile, the Cameroon government confirms a stock of fuel at the National Oil Refinery Sonara and the National Petroleum Depot.
Authorities in Burkina Faso have rejected calls from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, for a clear transition timetable, a clear timetable for a return to constitutional order to be presented. And in Benin, a military man was attacked and killed by unidentified men, accusing fingers are pointing at jihadists. All these in this report compiled by Glory Mala.
The authorities have rejected proposition to present a new timetable for the transitional government to the ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. The government spokesperson Lionel Bigot announced it this Tuesday. This comes after the ECOWAS requested that the Burkinabe authorities provide a reasonable timetable for a return to constitutional order. And in northern Benin, a policeman was killed this Tuesday morning and others injured by unidentified gunmen. Sources say they were attacked in the early hours of Tuesday by jihadists, shot the policeman and set the police station on fire. The government is yet to say anything about what happened, while the police and some officials have mobilized to investigate the killers.
Germany today for Ukraine-related talks. Discussions are focused on how to stop the war in Ukraine, a war that is affecting the whole world, including many African countries. We have details with Euronews.
A stark warning from Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. There is a real danger of a third world war. In an interview on Russian state television, Lavrov said peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv will continue, but he accused Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of only pretending to negotiate.
Many of us are convinced that Ukraine's real position is determined in Washington, London and other Western capitals. And therefore our political analysts say, why talk with President Volodymyr Zelensky's team? We need to talk with the Americans, negotiate with them, reach some kind of agreement. We still continue to negotiate with the team that Zelensky put forward. These contacts will continue, but as for the Americans, it could be probably useful. But any manifestations of interest on their part regarding contacts on Ukraine or other issues, we do not observe.
Kyiv, for its part, says Moscow chose war instead of talks when it hit several cities with missiles over the weekend. President Zelensky said Russia would not be able to win the war against his country and called on residents to do everything to make the presence of Russian troops in Ukraine unbearable.
Everyone in the world, even those who openly did not support us, now agree that it is in Ukraine that the fate of Europe, the fate of global security and the fate of the democratic system is decided.
As the war escalates in the east, Russia appears focused on destroying Ukrainian infrastructure and disrupting military supply routes from foreign countries.
The Russians are somehow chaotically shelling the whole village. We do not see the logic of these bombings. One time they fire on the railway, another time they fire on some industrial facilities, next day on residential areas.
Об'єктах, то вони обстрілюють по житлових масивах, просто от.
On Monday, the Russian military admitted having destroyed 6 facilities powering railways in several regions using precise guided weapons. Ukraine had accused Russia of striking multiple railway stations in the center and west of the country, killing at least 5 people.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed his concerns over war crimes being committed in Ukraine. He's calling for a possible probe into war crimes committed in the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Take a listen. General Antonio Guterres ending the first part of this newscast. Talking point is up next. In today's edition of Talking Points, we're bringing to you a success story that will rekindle hope, faith, and your determination to succeed. And our guest today joining us from Virginia in the United States of America is Desiree Nana. He is the author of the book, Much Like Joseph, From Pit to Glory. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, Jonathan.
All right, I can read from your book that you were born into a poverty kind of situation and raised by an abusive, drunken father. Tell us more about that.
Oh, yes, but before I talk about that, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your news today. And also before I talk about my dad a little bit, I also want to let people know that the book is mainly about the main goal of the book is to show people how God works behind the scene. So I don't care if you're a Christian or not Christian. The main focus of my book is to show people how God works behind the scene to bless us. So because when we read in the book of Jeremiah, God said to Jeremiah that I know the plan that I have for you before you were even formed in your mom womb. So Jeremiah was not a Christian. He was just a child that was coming out. God already had a plan for him. So I just want to let everybody know that God has a plan. Very abusive. He was a very heavy drinker, and every time he drink, he's gonna come here, he's gonna abuse us. He never had me pay my tuition. It was never there because he spent his time mostly drinking with friends, and he didn't really don't care about us. And my mom was the only breadwinner in the house that was supporting us in every type of any need that we have, education need, food, everything. My mom was always there to help us. But my dad was just type of abusive father that every time when they drink, they come home. Sometimes he kick us out of the house. We live outside the house for weeks. Maybe we went to an aunt and lived there for a couple of weeks before we came back. Sometimes he just beat us. He just abused us, beat us very bad, and it was beating my mom as well. And that takes us to the issue of parental care, parental responsibility in the development, in the growth, in the success of a child, and the issue of violence in the house that's been making news all this while, men beating their wives, some of them to death, and so on. Yes, that's true. And I experienced that with my dad. He used to beat on my mom. He beat on my mom until maybe I turned 14. When I turned 14, I said, Dad, I don't want to see that again. At 14, I was grown up. I was almost on myself already. But I told my dad that he needs to stop that. Now I'm a grown up. I don't want to see you abuse my mom anymore. How did you feel at that tender age?
How did you perceive the relationship between your mother and your father and all the fighting in the house? What was the impact on you?
The relationship in the house was hard. I never had any conversations with my dad. Maybe until I become a child of God, a Christian. But before that, I never had any real conversation with my dad. My dad, my mom, really, I barely see them talking. Because the relationship was just one way. My mom was very quiet. She was very assertive, and she didn't want to provoke my dad in any kind of way, and she was very respectful.
Right, some connection issues there with this.
She was a very wonderful woman. Even though my dad was abusing her, she kept doing what a wife is supposed to do. She kept cooking for him, keep blessing him, and even keep praying for him, for my dad. And that was something that really marked me. I'm telling you, anytime there's an abuse in the house, children lose their faith. They lose their confidence. They lose every single thing that they're supposed to have, the love that the parents should show them, and they also lost that confidence to be able to be something, to build a successful life for themselves. Because being abused it destroy people. When you go into my book, you're going to see the chapter when I say about abuse. You're going to see the chapter also talk about. There's a chapter where I also talk about psychological effect of the abuse.
All right, we'll come to that. We'll come to that in some few minutes. Now, tell us. You said that you were born in poverty. You were born in poverty. Tell us about that. What do you mean by you were born in poverty?
Yes, I mean, what I mean poverty, my little house was built with wood, what they call commonly in Cameroon, carabot. And my house was built in carabot, and I'm telling you, and there was a hole everywhere around the house. Somebody could have just sent his hand and just draw us out of the house, just like that, because there was too much hole in the house. And we were barely eating 2 meat a day. The day that my mom did her best and sell her merchandise, maybe we we're gonna be able to eat 1 meat a day. And because of that, I built this habit of mine to go around, because I know every neighborhood. I know the neighborhood schedule. When every neighbor put the food on the table, that's how poor we were, and it was very tough. It was very tough. And as a child, I don't remember really going to a real pharmacy. Maybe until I left Cameroon, I never really had a chance to go to a real pharmacy to buy medicine, because we always use those corner pharmacy on the street. We always go to the corner pharmacy. Every time my mom go to the hospital and prescribe for medication, she always got to take her to the corner pharmacy to have medication. That's how poor we were, because that's the only type of medication that we can afford at that time. That's how poor we are. I barely have tennis shoes. Floppy was my main shoes, and it's just a miserable situation in which we were there back then.
Right, and through your book, you want us to understand that your background should not determine your future. Your background should not prevent you from succeeding. Your background should not be a hindrance for anyone who wants to succeed. Now, tell us how you managed to thrive through all those challenges.
Yes. This is why I say that. I say that because no matter what background you come from, no matter where you come from, if you want to succeed in life, you're gonna make it happen. Because, Jonathan, something you have to notice is that people don't know. Just like I said in the beginning, Christian or non-Christian, people don't know how God have a personal interest in our life to be successful. The Bible always said that He has a plan for us to bless us. And the plan that is for bless us, He take care of us, no matter what situation we're going through. And for example, there's a lot of unfortunate events that happen into our life. Well, when you read in the book, you're going to see, when my dad kicked me out of the house, God used that opportunity to bless me. Just like when Joseph was thrown in the pig, and the Lord used that situation to bring him to Egypt and make him become the prime minister. So everything that bad happened into our life is not always to destroy us. Sometimes it's to build us up. So if you take that attitude that I'm going to make it happen, and you trust God, things going to happen into our life. You're going to make it going to happen. I don't care how maybe you curse you think you are. You think it's going to happen. I would like I said in my book, I was walking miles, to put application, because my background back then in Cameroon, I was an electrician. But I was walking mile to put application. I will always have that hope. I also have that drive that God, I know you have a plan for me. And I know there is a good plan for me. Not the plan for me to suffer, not the plan for me to struggle. I may struggle, but I know at the end you have a very bad plan for me to bless. That was my belief, and that was my drive. That's how I was, and I was putting application everywhere. I was working mile. My neighborhood. I used to live. I'm from Oya, Dakar. They call that Dakar. So I used to walk from Dakar to Bonaberi by foot, just to put application to those industry that was down there in Bonaberi. And I was doing that almost everywhere. I was working. I was confident that something gonna happen. But if you don't have that type of confidence and you don't put your foot forward and you don't work for it, how you think things gonna happen in your life? So no matter where you come from, no matter what type of curse you think you're under, it don't matter. Because God is the ultimate person that decide for your life. And that God is the only person that decides for you. And the decision, God already made a decision in your life is to bless you. You have to grab that. You have to grab that by faith and move forward.
From what you just said now, we can see in you, in those days, a young man who was determined and pressing forth despite the challenges. Now, you said something quite remarkable there about the right interpretation of situations and happenings. You must interpret situations correctly and turn the challenges into opportunities.
Yes. And learn. People have to learn, not to think that everything that bad happened to them is just unfortunate event. Like I told you about, like I tell you in my book, Joseph, when he was thrown in the pit, I'm telling you, somebody else will have wondered, where is God? You understand? But he pressed forward. He stayed faithful. And then he went to Egypt, but it stayed faithful. By being faithful, God bless you. There's no a magic potion that you need to have, that you need to get from somebody to be able to make something happen into your life. I know Cameroon is tough. I know it's very tough. But still, if you trust and you press your way forward, things can happen into your life. Jonathan, I explained you know, when I started looking for job, for job in Cameroon, I couldn't find any job. Like you said, the situation in Cameroon, sometimes you have to know somebody that knows somebody to have a job. But that didn't stop me. Okay? So my plan was to have to find a job that's going to help me save some money and to go to France and study, for example. And when I get to France, my plan was to stay there. So, but God has another plan for me. But God see me working hard for that. Because when I have a job, by God's grace, I was able to find a job with a company called Satom, because Soja, the construction company. I was able to find a job with them. When I found a job with them, I worked almost for a year and a half. That's where my story started. I worked almost a year and a half, but the guy that I was working with on the job site didn't like me. So they got me fired. They managed to get me fired. And I was fired. But they didn't know that being fired was actually God's plan for me. Because when I got fired and I came back to Douala, that's why God opened door for me to be able to play the lottery, the American lottery. And when I played the American lottery, after 2 weeks of playing the lottery, I got called back on the job because everything was getting messed up on the job, and the people that managed to get me fired couldn't fix it. So I got called back on the job to come fix everything. So when they called me, I bugged him. I asked the director that he needs to double my salary. He had to triple my salary. And that's what happened. And when I came back on the job, the guy that managed to get me fired, they got fired. So I took the leadership of my department, the electrical department, on the job. So after I took the electric department or the job, after 4 months doing my job, because I fixed everything in 2 weeks, I was able to fix everything that was not working. But after 4 months, I was working the job. I got a call from my uncle in Douala that you have an envelope here coming from the United States. I said, I don't know anybody from the United States. I even forgot that I played the lottery. So I got called back to Douala. So I went to Douala to see what's going on. My uncle said, I got an envelope for you coming from the United States. Come on, see. I said, I don't know anybody in the United States. Who sent me a letter to the United States? Because I completely forgot that I played the lottery. So when I asked my boss to let me go to Douala, so I went to Douala, and when I opened the envelope, I saw that I won the lottery. I won the American lottery. You see, God got me fired. Jesus got me fired just to go play the lottery. After I finished to play the lottery, God brought me back on the job. You understand that? So God brought me back to the job. And that's how I came to the United States.
Bible says the ways of God are not the ways of man. Now, before that, you said that you used to walk on foot from Dakar to Bonneberry to search for a job. That's quite a long distance, and that's a demonstration of a huge dose of determination. What gave you that? What gave you that push? What was your driving force What kept you going, walking through that long distance to be able to get a job?
The thing that kept me going, because, you know, Jonathan, I know that God, like I told you earlier, God has a plan for us. I don't care if you're Christian or no Christian. You know, it's very true that when you become a Christian, things are very different, because you have that power to communicate with the Lord Jesus. You have that, and you have that relationship with Him. But God has a plan for each of us. So my conception is that I was built, and I knew from the Bible that God has a plan for me, a plan to bless me and to make me prosper. So I know I have a knowledge. I have an electrical background. So let's try to find a job. You know, you're going to be able to find a job by sitting home, or you're not going to be able to demonstrate your faith by sitting home. Faith is you have to put it in action. I'm telling you, I even traveled one time from Douala to Betwa during the pipeline project, because I knew that more recruitment for the pipeline was done on the site. So at one point I traveled to Betwa without even knowing anybody in Betwa. But I got over there, you know, I tried to get some information about any church around, and I was able to find a job that I went to see the pastor. I talked to the pastor, I explained my problem. I'm coming from Douala. I don't know anybody. I don't know place to stay, but I'm here for looking for a job. And he gave me a place to stay. I stayed there almost for 2 weeks. I don't know, more than 2 weeks. And I was putting my application everywhere, and I was talking to everybody. And so that's a determination that you need to have. You know, like even when you know Jesus, just nothing come on the silver plate. You have to work for it. You have to trust God, and you have to have faith. You have to work for it.
Right.
That's how you get blessed.
Faith without action is like death. And so,
yes,
what you're saying is that people shouldn't stay in their homes and begin to speak in tongues and praying from morning to evening, and they don't take action. They don't go out to do something with their hands.
No. It be in vain. It be in vain.
Right.
It be in vain. God meets you. God always meets you where you are. He look for you where you are. You sitting home, He's gonna let you sitting home. You see you upside looking, He's gonna have you looking.
All right. Now, you said earlier that you also wrote about violence, matrimonial violence, violence in at the level of the homes in your book. From your experience, and when you see the trend of these kind of happenings, people killing their wives and so on, what do you think is the problem, and how can this issue be addressed?
Jonathan, I'm very against beating a woman. I'm very against. I'm talking. I don't care about this woman beating the man or man beating the woman. I'm against all type of violence. Okay, because we are all precious and we are all child of somebody. We are all precious in front of somebody. We all have parents and they love us and they don't want to see us be abused. I'm very against any type of violence, because I live it. It's not pretty. You can't even have a good relationship with a wife when you can beat her. What are you going to say to her? You can't even have a good relationship with your partner when you keep abusing her. You're supposed to respect her. I mean, respect her. Let her express her opinion. That's how the couple grows. You come from different background, and nobody has the right to beat on anybody. We equal in marriage. I know the woman is supposed to submit to his wife according to the Bible, but it don't mean that you're gonna be beating her. It means that she's gonna be your servant, just like you're a servant of Jesus. She's gonna help you, just like you work for the Lord Jesus. So, but you know, I've been in the United States here almost 22 years. I'm telling you, the law is everything. You have to have some law in place that just deter people to do that to have that type of behavior in the house. Here in the United States, when you leave your hand on human, you just call the police. You call the police. When they call the police come in 5 minutes. The police are in front of your house and they take you out. If it's the woman that abused her husband, If the husband called the police going to show up in 5 minutes and they're going to take the woman out of the house. They won't let you guys live together anymore.
All right.
You know?
Thank you so much for joining us today. We also know that in your book you're talking about how God used your mother and strangers for unwavering moral and financial support, and of course to make you what you have become today. You are a Cameroonian living in the United States of America. Desiree Nana, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for having me.
Right, thank you, Desiree Nana. That was the author of the book, Much Like Joseph, From Pit to Glory. You can make it no matter where you come from. You can make it. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. Crime Time newscast on Equinoxe Television. In less than 20 minutes, Serge Olontu and his guests will be in your homes with Equinoxe Soir. Goodbye.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
We are supposed to be thinking on how to carry the nation ahead. But look at it, we are talking about things that do not even have any capacity to add to Cameroon's progress. I mean what I'm saying. It doesn't have anything to contribute to the progress of this nation. So, I am ashamed that we are discussing this kind of thing. I am ashamed that our ministers can say what they say. I'm ashamed that we have administrators who do not think of how to progress the nation. They think on how to press on individuals.
Les amis, je rappelle qu'on ne fait pas la pression à la justice camerounaise. La justice a son temps, elle fait son temps.
Donc c'est parce que le professeur Campton parlait que...
Non, c'est le timing de la justice.
Ceux qui ne font que brandir la paix depuis le début et qui n'ont fait aucun mal à aucun citoyen, à moins qu'on ne nous prouve le contraire, ce sont les réactions barbares envers ces gens-là, qui n'ont fait de mal à personne, qui conduiront justement le pays vers une bagarre.
Je vois ici aujourd'hui que tout simplement nous voulons un changement au Cameroun. Ça ne se fera pas sans les jeunes, ça ne se fera pas sans les vieux. Parce que j'ai vu lors de la campagne des taux...
Ah, les vieux encore?
Mais bien sûr.
If you suspect you may have a coronavirus infection, please call your healthcare provider in advance and let them know you are coming. This can help them be prepared. WHO recommends preventive measures to reduce...
7 conseils pour se protéger contre le nouveau coronavirus. 1. Lavez-vous régulièrement les mains à l'eau et au savon ou à l'aide d'un gel hydroalcoolique. 2. Vous ressentez l'envie de tousser ou d'éternuer? Faites-le dans un mouchoir ou dans le creux de votre coude, puis lavez-vous les mains. 3. Restez à au moins 1 mètre de distance des autres personnes